The most recognized symbol on Earth cost $35. The man who bought it didn't love it. The woman who designed it had absolutely no idea what she'd just created. And the company it belongs to was so confident in it that in 1995, they removed their own name from next to it. No explanation, no press release, just a tick on a white background, and the entire world knew exactly what it meant. Here's how that happened. It's 1964. Phil Knight is a former middle distance runner from Oregon with a theory that American athletes are being sold slow, overpriced shoes and a business plan that consists entirely of selling Japanese shoes from the boot of his car at track meets. He is not a visionary yet. He is a man with a car boot full of shoes and a lot of optimism. His old university coach, Bill Bowerman, becomes his partner. Knight handles the business. Bowerman handles the obsession. Because Bowerman cannot stop tinkering, lighter materials, better grip, he hands experimental prototypes to his own athletes and watches what happens to their feet. Some prototypes fall apart mid-race. Some leave athletes bleeding. Bowerman considers this progress. Then one morning in 1971, he's sitting at the breakfast table. His wife Barbara is making waffles. Bowerman is not looking at the waffles. He is staring at the waffle iron, specifically the grid pattern pressed into the metal. And he thinks, what if the sole of a running shoe had that exact pattern? Raised rubber nubs, grip without spikes, light, fast. He asks Barbara if he could borrow the waffle iron. He takes it to the garage. He pours liquid rubber into it. He heats it up. He completely and permanently destroys it. It was a 35-year-old wedding present. Barbara has described, in interviews, how frustrated she was. But when Bowerman pried it open, he had the sole of a shoe. That ruined wedding present now sits in a glass case at Nike headquarters worth more than most people's houses. The waffle iron did not receive a share of the company. This seems unfair, but a sole isn't a brand. By 1971, Knight wants to create his own shoe, not just distribute other people's. He needs a logo, something to go on the side that says speed and motion without saying a word. He doesn't call an agency, he asks a student. Her name is Carolyn Davidson, a graphic design student at Portland State University who Knight had overheard telling a classmate she couldn't afford an oil painting class. He'd been paying her $2 an hour to make charts. Now he needs a logo. Davidson works for 17 and a half hours. She presents Knight with 5 options. Knight looks at them. He is not impressed. He picks the swoosh, a curved shape inspired by the wing of Nike, the Greek goddess of victory, and says the words that design students still quote today. I don't love it, but maybe it will grow on me. He had no choice anyway. The deadline was Friday. The factory in Japan was waiting. Davidson invoices him, $35. Knight pays it. He does not send a thank you card. He does not offer her a percentage. He pays $35 and forgets about it. Now here's a detail that will stop you mid-thought. The swoosh looks like a checkmark. Your entire life, since your very first school test, a checkmark has meant one thing. Yes, correct, done, approved. That tiny hit of positive reinforcement is sitting inside the logo before you've had a single conscious thought about Nike. Carolyn Davidson didn't plan that. Phil Knight certainly didn't plan that. It happened because a design student needed money for a painting class, and nobody had time to find something better. By 1984, Nike is growing, but they have a problem. They own running. Basketball is a different story. Converse rules the court. Adidas is the cool international brand. Nike is a running shoe company trying to break into a sport that already has its heroes. They need a basketball player, not a good one, not a promising one, the one. A rookie out of North Carolina named Michael Jordan. Small problem, Jordan doesn't want Nike. He wants Adidas. I was pro Adidas the whole time, Jordan later said. His agent David Falk can see what a Nike deal could become, but he cannot get Jordan to agree to a meeting. Jordan refuses, flatly, repeatedly. So Falk makes one phone call to Jordan's mother. Dolores Jordan listens. Then she calls her son. You're going to go listen, she tells him. You may not like it, but you're going to go listen. And that is how the most valuable athlete endorsement in human history was arranged. By a grown man's mum telling him to just go to the meeting. Jordan gets on the plane. He arrives at the Nike meeting wearing Adidas. To the Nike pitch, the audacity. Nike doesn't offer him a shoe deal. They offer him his own shoe, his own brand within Nike, a signature line built entirely around him, plus $500,000 a year, more than double what Adidas had offered. Jordan makes one last call to Adidas. Give me a reason to say no to this. Adidas cannot match it. He signs with Nike in October 1984. Nike projects the Air Jordan line will make $3 million in its first year. It makes $126 million. Adidas has not recovered emotionally, but Nike is not done. The Air Jordan 1 launches in a bold black and red colorway. The NBA sends a letter. The shoe violates league uniform regulations. Too much black. Not enough white to match the Bulls' team colors. Most companies panic, change the color, apologize, move on. Nike films a commercial instead. Black screen, white text, a voice. On October 15th, Nike created a revolutionary new basketball shoe. Pause. On October 18th, the NBA threw them out of the game. Longer pause. Fortunately, the NBA can't stop you from wearing them. The shoe you weren't allowed to have became the shoe everyone had to have. If you watched our Hermes video, you already know exactly what just happened. The second something is restricted, your brain doesn't lose interest. It leans in harder. A ban isn't a wall, it's a free advertisement. By 1987, despite all of it, Nike is sinking. Reebok has overtaken them. The aerobics boom caught Nike completely off guard. They made running shoes. The world suddenly wanted aerobics shoes. Nike missed the moment entirely. Market share collapsing. Ground lost every quarter. They hand the problem to a small Portland ad agency called Weeden and Kennedy. Dan Weeden, the founder, has one job. Find a line that ties everything Nike is into 3 words or less. The night before the presentation, Weeden has nothing. He needs something that speaks to an Olympic sprinter and a tired accountant going for their first jog, simultaneously. Something that has nothing to do with shoes, nothing to do with sport. Something that speaks to something much older and much more human. His mind goes somewhere unexpected. To a man named Gary Gilmore, a convicted murderer from Portland, Weeden's own city, executed by firing squad in Utah in January 1977. What made Gilmore unusual, apart from the crimes, was how he faced his execution. He didn't fight it, he demanded it. Anti-death penalty advocates tried to save him. He refused their help. He wanted to die on his own terms, facing 5 guns aimed directly at him. His last words were 3 of them. Let's do it. Weeden never forgot those words. The absolute commitment. The refusal to flinch at the most final moment a human being can face. He changes one word. Let's becomes just. He walks into the Nike meeting the next morning. Phil Knight's verdict? We don't need that shit. Weeden looks at him. Just trust me on this one. Nike launches Just Do It in 1988. In the decade that follows, worldwide sales go from $877 million to $9.2 billion, 3 words, inspired by a death row inmate, rejected by the man who paid billions to put them on everything he made. Phil Knight has never publicly said Weeden was right, but the receipts speak for themselves. Now go back to 1995. Nike removes their own name from the logo. And now, you understand exactly why that worked. Think about what the swoosh had been present for since 1971. Every world record broken in Nike shoes. Jordan flying through the air making shots that shouldn't be physically possible. Ordinary people crossing their first marathon finish line, crying, broken, proud. The swoosh was at all of it, silent, watching, absorbing, and your brain was watching the swoosh. There's a name for what happened: classical conditioning. Pavlov rang a bell every time he fed his dogs. Eventually, the bell alone made them salivate, no food needed. The sound had absorbed the meaning of the meal. Nike rang the same bell for 24 years, except their bell was a curved line, and their meal was the feeling of human greatness. See the swoosh, feel something, not because you decide to, because your brain has been quietly trained to for decades. And then just do it gave that feeling a direction, not toward a shoe, toward you, toward the gap between who you are and who you keep meaning to become, which is the real reason the name could come off in 1995. The swoosh didn't need words anymore. It was carrying 24 years of human achievement, a checkmark's worth of yes, and a personal challenge directed at every single person who looked at it. A $35 sketch that nobody loved had become the most recognized symbol on earth. A wedding present ruined in a garage. A logo nobody wanted, paid for and forgotten. A superstar who had to be told by his mother to go to the meeting, a slogan born from a death row inmate's last words, rejected by the man who'd built an empire on them. Nike didn't engineer a perfect brand. They showed up, clumsily, accidentally, stubbornly, long enough for the rest of us to pour meaning into what they'd made. The tick didn't conquer the world. We handed it the world, one pair at a time. Consider yourself grasped. See you next time.